Hey y'all, Eli here from Mile High Pokemon. Today we're going to be talking about buying Pokemon cards in Japan and about Japanese Pokemon cards. I'm also going to be doing a giveaway for a few of these vending promo cards, which I'll talk about a little later in the video. So I'm just going to cover a few bases about what it's like actually being in Japan, seeing cards in person, because we got back just a few weeks ago. I wanted to make this video sooner, but it's been busy with all the orders we've had to fulfill since getting back. So first off, going to Japan is sort of interesting because there are card stores all over the place, and it's totally normalized to just walk down the street in the big city and see them everywhere, especially in Akihabara where there's like 10 stores on every block, which is something sort of unique because Japan being so oriented on public transit, being such a walking culture all over the place, and we don't have that in the U.S. In most cities, if you're going to a card store, you will get in your car and you'll drive to a place. You're very rarely going to just be walking around and seeing random card stores places. So that's pretty cool to be able to walk in and out. Some card stores are, out on the street and the first floor displaying product. On other stores are up. It's sort of weird. A lot of shopping places will actually have sort of signs that will tell you what floor a store is on. And so some of these places are small, sort of rinky-dinky Pokemon shops up on the 5th floor of a random-ass building. And you'll find those on Google. But one of the things that was sort of shocking is going to Japan, I sort of had this plan, this idea that I'm going to go to Japan, get all of these alt arts that people in America love, get them maybe at regular price, maybe at a discount, but at least I'll see them in person, and then just grade them over here in the US. Problem solved. I don't have to order from people online not seeing the card ahead of time. And that very much was impossible because the vast majority of the cards, especially the popular ones, especially the expensive ones, were way, way overpriced in card shops. It was sort of strange to see actually, because you'd have a card that I literally bought for $60 here in the US that I graded at PSA 10 and sold for $150, and then over there would sell for $200 raw. $220 raw. It was just crazy, and the vast majority of shops would overprice. Sometimes literally up to 50% higher, 200% higher. It was as if they looked at the card, decided it would get a PSA 10, went to the website, checked how much a PSA 10 would cost, and then added 50% just for good measure. I can't completely blame them because obviously shops want to have stuff in stock. And so sometimes when you hear Mason from Cardinal Gaming talking, he says, of course, he's not going to sell directly at market price because then he's always going to be sold out, right? And so he would prefer actually to have some stock there so that when people come and visit, they see that he has a lot of stuff. And so I presume part of that is these Japanese stores don't want to get rid of all their coolest cards immediately, and so they'll overprice them so that they sell slower too. But of course, that means that flipping or trying to take them back to get graded is really not feasible most of the time. That being said, there are a few exceptions. I would say that 95% of cards at these card shops are overpriced. Maybe 5% weren't, and it was about finding those. And So because I'm doing this video late, I actually sent a bunch of cards to PSA already. And I will show you a few of the cards that I thought were a decent deal, and that I actually bought gradable. These are just what's left over that I thought were not gradable. So you've got, they can hear you, Mace. So I got a bunch of Pikachu promos. So a lot of Pikachu promos, especially modern ones, are decently priced. And so I bought a few of these Cherry Blossom ones. This one isn't going to grade a 10, so I didn't send it. But I did have two that I bought other than this that I thought would grade a PSA 10. 4680 yen is about, 4680 yen is about $34. So I got this Cherry Blossom card for about $34. So great, it's a decent price. I got them here at a convention for 50-ish, I think, back in October. So $35. I got 3 of them. This one's not really gradable. I didn't see it the moment I bought it, but the other 2 were. And so some of these Pikachu promos, they just have a lot of, and so they're a decent price. This one was a little overpriced, but it wasn't really gradable. So this one I'm keeping for now for myself. This is not something I got in Japan. This is, but then you've got a card here, this Shibuya Pikachu. This one was like $18, I guess, is about the translation. Another Cherry Blossom Pikachu, This one was like $8. This Pikachu promo. So a lot of these Pikachu promos, actually, because they've got a lot of them, are a decent price. This Comedian Pikachu is like $20 it's a PSA 10. It would be worth like 120 or something, and I bought like 4 or 5 of these. This Tea Time Pikachu, Mesa actually got a mispriced one. She really lucked out. She found one for 700 yen when it was supposed to be something like 3,700, and she was really lucked out, and they didn't catch the error, so she ended up paying like $5 for this card that's worth over 30. You'll see this is a Mischievous Pichu, which I actually got an even cheaper one. I think the lowest I found Mischievous Pikachu was maybe $4, which is certainly a really good deal. Hey, When Pokemon, thanks for coming. I got some of these Yokohama. There's a set of several promos of the Yokohama Pikachus. Once again, I sent off already probably 25 cards or so, 30 cards of grading, so this is just what's left over, what I didn't think could get a 10. But as you can see, these prices are pretty reasonable. Look, here's like a $4 Mischievous Pichu. It is crazy. I mean, the store, this is like a modern Pikachu promo. The store had a ton of these. So this is the sort of stuff that you'll find that's actually cheaper. Everything else is expensive, but some of these Pikachu promos are a decent price. I mean, look at this. This is like a $8 or $9 Shibuya Pikachu. Now, this one isn't not great condition. It's pretty much a moderately played one. It's not going to get graded, but it's certainly one that you can keep. It's a great price. So another one I got, which I already sent off to grading, was the Scarlet and Violet promo, which is something a lot of people are sending to grading right now. Is pretty much, I think, the top graded card, or one of the top graded cards in February. It's the one with the 3 Pokemon, including the Pikachu. It's the first promo in Japan. Those were selling online for about $18, $19, I think, on eBay new, and I got them for like $12 each, which is about a 50% reduction there in your base cost. So I got several of those to send to grading as well. So on those sorts of things, when they're new, there's a lot of them, the prices are decent. You know, one of the reasons I think actually many of the prices were so not calibrated is because the yen has actually strengthened considerably recently. And so my guess is that a lot of these prices that I think are insane were, first off, maybe set during the boom and prices have fallen a bit. Second of all, they were maybe set when there was $1 to, 140 yen to $1, 135 yen to $1. And now we're down to about 120 yen to $1. So when the yen strengthens, that makes it more expensive for foreigners to buy. So that's probably another one of the reasons why it sort of seemed expensive. But yeah, these are the exceptions. Also, we bought a bunch of stamp promos, and this is going to be the part where there's the giveaway, which I'm going to mention, and it's also in the comment, or in the description. So we got a bunch of stamp promos, and several of these were actually very affordable. There's a store that literally had, not stamp promos, misspoke, vending promos. Stamp promos are actually obviously different. So the vending promos had all sorts of prices. Some were more expensive, but we definitely did see places like the cheapest place we went to, where vending promos were $1.50 each. And so if you're a type of person that wants to fill out your vintage card sets in Japanese, because there's simply so many of them, a lot of card shops, as long as it's not sort of the rare and expensive stuff, like for example the first edition Charizard or whatever, that stuff is also overpriced, just like the modern alt arts. But if you're looking for stuff to fill out your vintage collection, you'll find a lot of relatively cheap stuff. And a lot of the vending promos here in America, they're not that expensive either, but they'll cost, between $4 and $7 for a card. And so this is about $1.50. And so if you can go to Japan and get these cards for like $1.50 versus $5-6 here on American eBay, it's certainly cheaper to get them there. Now, not all the stores were that cheap. I mean, here's a Magmar you can see, which was about $4. And some cards are more, some cards are less. Hey. But if you go to the right store, quiet everyone. The cats are fighting, even though I'm telling you about vending promos. They clearly have disrespect to the elders who collect stuff like this. For those that don't know, vending promos are actually cards that were released back in Japan that would come out of the vending machine. They had sets. There was 3 different sets. Each one's had, I think, maybe like 40 cards. And so, yeah, they have this symbol here. And there's actually especially rare ones that were like the evolutions. And to get them, you'd have to trade the evolution. So to get the Machamp, you'd have to send in the Machop and the Machoke, and you get this Machamp, which looks really rad. So anyway, I got a lot of those vending promos, and I'll actually show you. We put together a binder, so I'm going to run through this real quick just so you get an idea. of the sort of stuff we bought at pretty affordable rates. And so once again, if you're looking to fill out your vintage collection, it's a really good place to go. A lot of these sort of stores that have just loads of them extra. So here's some of these vending promo cards, which are once again very easy to collect. Have very cool art styles, very random. Some of the most unique, I believe, cards in. Just gonna turn down the light here. In that were released in Japan. So you'll see a lot of variation here. In the vending promos, just look at there's the Doduo, Geodude, Mewtwo. You got the Mr. Mime, just really cool stuff. Pikachu. So here's one that's really cool. You got the Polyrath right there. It looks like a child drew it. So overall, I think that these cards are really cool to collect, and in Japan these are cheaper in addition to those Pikachu promos I had mentioned earlier. So these are certainly worth getting if you ever have the chance to go. So what we've learned so far: modern cards way overpriced, except for Pikachu promos. Older cards that are rare, way overpriced. Look at this one, terrific. But the old ones that are more common, they've got loads of. Just look at that Machop right there, excellent stuff. So anyway, those are a sample of some of those vending promos that you can get. And I'm gonna turn on this light again. Sorry, it's a live stream, so things are not edited down. We've got chaos running amok behind me, as you can tell. So yeah, a few other observations about buying cards in Japan. First off, the vast majority of cards worth over like $1.50 are behind glass, so they'll have glass displays, and so you have to actually find an attendant and individually have each one pull out the cards you want to get. And so if you're looking to just get the mintiest cards and not buy anything else, it's sort of not feasible to look at the back of every single card and scrutinize it extensively on the spot. But they'll generally let you look at cards carefully as long as you're buying something. So a lot of the time, there were like cards I already saw that I wanted that were at a good price regardless. It's like, oh, I want this Mischievous Pichu. I want like 5 of those, right? So they'd give them to me. And then I'd be like, all right, I also want to look at these few other cards. And so they didn't have an issue having me look at other cards that I wanted to see if they were gradable and get a close look at the back. As long as I was like actually going to buy something. I think they're going to get really annoyed with you if you go and ask to check out 100 cards and not buy anything, or even buy like 5 things out of 100. Obviously, that's sort of really disrespectful, I think, in the way that it's set up. So that's the first thing. Second of all, surprisingly, I thought that smaller stores would have better sales and have better costs because, they're trying to attract clientele. But I think one of the things that I was surprised about and I found is some of the better prices were certainly on the sort of the bigger stores, the chains. And sometimes you'll know there are better prices because you walk into a store and the price there'll be like less stock. So you'll look around and be like, wow, this store is like 80% sold out. And so obviously if they're 80% sold out, it's probably because the locals know that the cards are cheaper there and are buying everything they see. So if you go into a store and they have far more selection, that might be a sort of a signal of like, oh, this stuff here is a little more expensive. So obviously research, prices instead of just going off what you buy there. Go to these maybe larger stores, which actually work pretty well. They also sell bulk, really cheap Japanese bulk. So if you're ever interested, like I ended up getting really for $2.50 a set of 500 commons and like and I think it included 6 or 7 ultra rare Japanese cards, which was a fantastic deal. I brought those over to the US to sell because I have some people that buy bulk, and even if you got $1 for each of those ultra rares that they gave to you, or even 70 cents, you're still making a pretty good profit given that it's so dang cheap. One of the things I was surprised about is that there was, at least for right now, very little sealed product. When we went, Scarlet and Violet was out, and about 90% of stores we went to, and we went to probably 15 game stores, about like 90% didn't have any sealed product. Only 2 stores we went to had any. And they were certainly above MSRP. They were still cheaper than getting them on eBay, so we got 2 boxes, and they were, I think, $65 or $70 for a box, Pokemon Scarlet, and on eBay they were going for maybe 80, so certainly cheaper than there, but I think the MSRP is supposed to be like $50 or something like that. I don't exactly remember. But if you're looking for cheaper ultra rares, most of the card shops did have affordable prices. So if you're looking, for example, for those Galarian Gallery cards came out in America. You're looking for them in Japanese. Most of them were $2 or $3, so those are certainly reasonable, even less frequently. So those were also affordable in the Japanese stores. And then, let's see, I think that was the main things I wanted to talk about. Overall, Japan has many really cool things to see. There's incredible nature, cool cultural things. Akihabara, as a neighborhood or as a part of the city, has so many electronic places, not just Pokemon related, but all sorts of nerd culture stuff. You got Mount Fuji, you got Osaka, you got the food, you got all these incredible things in history. So obviously I hope very few people are going over just to flip Pokemon cards, because honestly that wouldn't really work anyway. But I will say that if you're going to Japan, among the important things in its culture is obviously its cultural exports, which includes Pokemon. And so if you're looking to get some of these, as I said, modern Pikachu promos, get your older vintage collections filled out, it's certainly a good way to go. But certainly don't try to pick up those alt arts, modern alt arts, because those will be way overpriced, and you can just stick to eBay, spend your time going to see Mount Fuji instead of looking around a store. Poke Knowledge, thanks for stopping in. I will certainly tell Mesa that you say hi. PK says hi.
What?
Oh, she can't hear. PK says hi. He stopped in.
Hi, PK.
She responds as hi as well. So, it's also really helpful, as we talked about, to have a partner who loves Pokemon too, because certainly over half the times we walked into a Pokemon shop, it was because it was at the urging of my partner who wanted to look at more product. So that was really cool, and she certainly enjoyed it. Someone who really doesn't care about conditioning, who doesn't care about having the fanciest card, she certainly appreciated the fact that you could get a lot of these older cards for quite cheap. So anyway, as for the giveaway, I'm going to be giving away a few of these vending promos they're pretty affordable and cheap. But as I said, they're sort of cheaper to get in Japan than on eBay. So I'm going to give away this Tauros, which I think is really cool. I'm going to give away a Staryu, and I'm going to give away, where is this? This Magmar. So 3 cards I'll give away. The way to enter the contest is simply to place a comment with your favorite Japanese card. In the comments, like the video, subscribe, and I'll be choosing a winner probably within the next week. We're in Japan for 10 days, 11 days. So we went to card stores literally almost every day, just to kill time even before our tour started. But we also went to Kyoto, Osaka, other than Tokyo. It's very funny. Here's a funny story from Osaka. Is we get off the train, and in Japan, they drive on the left side of the road because they don't know how to drive. Unlike here in America. And so, as a result, whenever you're on the escalator, you stand on the left side of the escalator, except for Osaka. We get out of the train, and all of a sudden, everyone's on the right side, except for us. We're standing on the left, everyone else on the right, and we're just, so confused. Did we just warp back to America? And apparently, our tour guide said, summed it up as, Osaka hates Tokyo so much, and they want to be held at such contrast, that Osaka is sort of more laid back. It's got more food, it's got more relaxed schedules, and they also decide to be a little more Western. And in that regard, because of that, they also stand on the right side of the escalator, which is, to me, hilarious. But we also went to Kyoto, which is a gorgeous city. Used to be the capital of Japan. Now it's like the 4th largest city. It's where Nintendo is based out of. And that's where a lot of the historical stuff, because it wasn't bombed too heavily during World War II. So a lot of the older neighborhoods where the geishas are and worked and continue to work are still available and standing. And so that's just gorgeous stuff to go tour down. The one thing I will caution people about is, so I've had people in the past tell me don't go to Japan in the summer. It gets way too hot, way too humid. It's miserable to be there. And I've had the same thing told to me about Southeast Asian countries, Vietnam, Thailand, etc. And so I thought, well, okay, it's too hot in the summer. We'll go in the winter. It can't be that cold. And so lo and behold, we went in January, end of January, beginning of February, and it was freezing. My God, it was as cold as it was here in Colorado, if not colder some of the days. So certainly, from what I understand, the best time to go is April, May. Don't go in the winter. But we did also get free tickets, so we can't really complain, because we signed up for the United credit card, which gave you, I think, 60 or 70,000 bonus miles to sign up, which pretty much covered our round-trip flight to Japan, which was crazy for us. So we spent that money on Pokemon instead. Hey, Boondock Games, thanks for stopping by. I don't think I'm going to go much longer because I covered all the bases, but if there are any questions about Japan or Japanese cards, I'd be happy to cover that in my experience being there. The other thing I was really interested in is they did have some English cards, and they certainly did have some PSA slabs. those were the most overpriced at all. As I mentioned, the modern alt arts are probably double the price of what you'd find on eBay. The slabs were just insanity. These slabs were probably double the price you'd find for a PSA 10. And I'm just wondering who buys this stuff. Because you'd think if you sort of have enough money to walk into your local card shop in Japan and drop $500 on a slab, that you probably also have the sense to go on eBay or Yahoo Japan or wherever they buy cards and get the same thing for cheaper. But I don't know, maybe that's not the case, because almost all my international sales of slabs on eBay are not going to Japan. They're going to Taiwan, they're going to Hong Kong, they're going to Singapore. I don't know if I've had any sales really to Japan, which is kind of crazy because it's cheaper for me to ship it to them than them going to the local card shops. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I had. As I said, if you want to enter the contest, just leave a comment with your favorite Japanese Pokemon card. Hopefully this will start on your vending Pokemon collection. It's one of my favorite things because the art styles can be so unique. Yeah, thanks all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and have a great week.